Hey Internet, this is Nick with Enemy Plays, and today I've got Redacted Life. I first realized that I was a character in a video game about 3 weeks ago. At first, I noticed little things, glitches, things blinking in and out of existence. Then I tried to remember things like how I met my girlfriend, Rebecca, where I was born, or either of my parents' names. I couldn't remember. I could only remember as far back as a month ago. It was a hard 3 weeks. The worst part was that when I tried to explain this to Rebecca, it was like she wouldn't listen to me. Like she couldn't hear me. I guess the game's programming could only stretch so far. Eventually, I decided to just let things happen and see how things would unfold. I mean, after all, despite how existential crisis-inducing finding out your life's a game was, my life was a pretty good life. Might as well enjoy it, right? Then Rebecca decided we should move out. Finding an affordable home to rent, it was too large a place to own all by ourselves. We packed our things from our city apartment and drove to the countryside. We're here. We stepped out of the car. There it is, Adrian. The house is over there, at the end of the road. I looked at the mansion in the distance. Come on, Sheska. I opened the back door to let Sheska out. Sheska was our dog, by the way. However, as soon as she got out of the car, Sheska started growling. Well, that's a bad sign. Rebecca turned to Sheska. Aw, what's the matter, girl? She's scared of the house. Why? I don't know. Because it looks like the mansion's architect was a fan of Edward Gorey? I guess something upset her. Animals can sense things, you know. Maybe it was a squirrel or something. Never mind. Let's go inside. I looked around. I could see from here that it was a study room that led to a massive grand ballroom. I think it was kind of a grand ballroom that I could imagine also doubling as a final boss arena. Very unusual furniture. I stared at a weird painting of what I interpreted as two horses. The frame it was in looked like it had 4 sets of claws trying to rip the artwork open. Very unusual. I prefer to call it rustic charm. I love how old-timey this place looks. What? Scared? No. Well, I don't think something's gonna jump out and shout a boogie woogie woo, but I still feel a huge amount of unease. Don't worry, I'll protect you from anything in this household. Rebecca started glitching out again. That happened from time to time. It was the first thing that made me realize I was in a game. It used to freak me out, but now the novelty's worn off, or the shock's worn off, whatever you want to call it. It seemed like me acting out of character causes this. It's like Rebecca can't figure out how to react to me. Adrian, Earth to Adrian. I snapped out of it. Yeah, Rebecca? I said, I'll protect you. Sure. Now, I know what you may be thinking. If we were moving into this house, why were we acting like we'd never set foot in this house before? Apparently, this is a world where you pay an estate agent a lot of money and just hope for the best. You just cross your fingers and wish really hard, and they magically find a beautiful house you can afford to lodge in. We're leaving this crazy house. A couple came lumbering down the stairs. They were each carrying a suitcase. I've had it. I can stand for a lot of things, but not this. And with that, the couple left. My. A person who gender was unclear to me approached us They were wrapped up in several layers of winter clothing, despite the fact it wasn't winter. It seems another family has left us, with another to replace them. It's like a revolving door around here. Hello, my name's Turl. How are you? Their voice was also ambiguous, and not just in terms of gender. The voice sounded young and ancient, childish yet wise, all at the same time. I'm Rebecca, and this is Adrian. Why were those people leaving? They're scared of the spirit who dwells in this household. It's a terrible story, one fraught with tragedy. Would you like to hear it? I told him that no, we wouldn't. And Turl began. The sweater-layered character told Rebecca and me pretty full and complete information about the mansion. They told us about how the structure was originally commissioned in the 1800s, about how the original owners of the mansion, Miro and Clara, were a couple who'd recently married before moving into their new home. Miro first met Clara when she became his assistant for his magic act. This eventually led to them falling in love with each other. Miro the Magician, as he was called, was an illusionist. He was also rumored to have dabbled in two dubious things: adultery and the dark arts, though neither was ever proven publicly. He was apparently successful enough as a magician to afford the mansion, and continued performing with Clara for many years, until, because there's always an until with these stories, until, for some reason, my mind kept wandering, but I did my best to stay focused on Turl's cliched story. That really was an awful picture frame. So what happens to the magician and his wife? They disappeared. I sighed. No one seemed to notice. Really, the magician disappeared. How ironic. Very cute. They completely vanished. Were they ever found? Eventually, Miro was found dead in the basement of this very mansion. His body was covered with long, deep slash marks, like he'd been scratched to pieces by some sort of long-fingered animal. But his wife was never found. I think Clara knew that her husband had been cheating on her. Maybe when she found out, she confronted him with it. Maybe Miro kept a book filled with black magic, and that had something to do with it. But I think something very dark happened on the night they disappeared. I believe that Clara's ghost still haunts this place to this day. It would explain all the strange things in this place. Eerie noises, furniture rearranging itself after you leave the room. Then Tyrrell suddenly stopped their history lecture. Do you believe in ghosts? I've never really thought about it seriously before, but no, I didn't believe in ghosts. Sorry. It's fine. No need to apologize to me. And what about your beau? What does he think? I don't know. Why are you telling us all this? Won't that make us more likely to be the next couple to move out? Was this person trying to convince us to leave? I just thought it was interesting and important for you to know this household's backstory. It fascinates me. It's actually the reason why I moved in here in the first place. But why are you staying here if you believe there's a ghost? I've made this an occupation of mine. In the past, I've proven to have a knack for solving ghosts' problems and helping them find peace. You're a ghost hunter? Not a hunter, my dear. I'd prefer to think of myself as a ghost whisperer. Are there really enough ghosts in the world for you to do that? Well, you'd be surprised. But I also provide other services to people. Living people, like Wiccan charms and divinations. I'll give your girlfriend a tarot reading if you like, free of charge. Ooh, that sounds interesting. I've never had a tarot card reading before. Oh boy. After clearing a space in one of the tables, Tyrrell got Rebecca to shuffle the tarot deck. I looked at a bouquet of freshly cut flowers nearby. They were white lilies, because of course they would have been white lilies. The funeral flower, a symbol for death. Of course the game designer couldn't resist that. Taking the cards from her, Tyrrell looked at the top 5 cards off the deck, placing them face down in a formation on the table. Ahem. This tarot card reading will be an interpretation of your future. They, meaning Tyrrell, not Rebecca and Tyrrell, slowly flipped over each card, revealing their illustrations. Oh. They're not going to say they sense danger or anything cliché like that, are they? What's wrong, Tyrrell? This looks bad. Tell me. I want to know. Well, it's all up to interpretation, but... Tyrrell pointed out the center card. This card represents the Fool. That's you. I tried not to smirk at their bad phrasing. Nope. Absolutely no room for interpretation there. Luckily, Rebecca didn't seem to notice. The card in the center represents the person this is going to happen to, and the Fool is usually a person who is both curious and lucky. Rebecca put her arm around mine and squeezed it. Well, I'm certainly lucky to have Adrian. Yeah, and I you. No matter what I may say about Rebecca, I really do care about her. But that's what makes this feeling in the back of my mind worse. The card below represents a person who will be involved. This represents determination and endurance. So, a determined person? Exactly. Someone who will keep going, even in the face of adversity. This is such a beautiful card. Thank you. This is a custom tarot deck I had made especially for me. In my opinion, any tarot reader worth their weight in salt should get a custom tarot deck. Now, let's see. The card at the top represents another person involved. Specifically, a woman. Since this is the Empress card, would that be me? Am I the woman? Since this is a tarot reading of you, I'd actually interpret the woman as Clara. The magician's wife? I'm sure her ghost is here. As long as you're in this house, you and her will be connected. The leftmost card represents a past event. The tower is associated with sudden, disruptive, and potentially destructive change. It can also mean liberation and the gaining of freedom. But in terms of destruction, change happening in the past, I'd define it as Clara's past. Well, that can't be good. Oh, death is an often misunderstood symbol. It doesn't necessarily represent a literal death. It could mean the death of an old way of life and the beginning of a new one. In other words, it could be a change as simple as adopting a dog or moving to a spooky mansion. Right. So, to sum it all up, I believe there's going to be strange changes coming soon in your life. Something to do with this mansion's dark past. You'd best be careful. I mean, I know you've said you don't believe in ghosts. You may think this is a load of hogwash. No, this was really interesting. Thank you. You're welcome. Interesting? Well, I'd better get going. That's all I have left to say. I'll see you later. With that, Tyrrell left. Rebecca turned to me. So, What now? Well, we still have a lot of unpacking to do, but I kind of want to do a bit of exploring first. Why don't we leave the rest of the luggage till later? It's only 2 suitcases. Look, I can do it myself. You can explore that house, and I'll catch up with you later. Okay. Well, it's official. I'm trapped in a horror game. A badly written horror game. Never mind. I'll just go get the luggage, shall I? Is this an adventure game? Because it sounded like a lousy first quest.